In baseball, they say, let's play ball. On this podcast, we say, let's talk some ball. It's Talkin Ball. I'm Aaron Hogan. He is Coach Ty Harrington, and we are, by my measure, Coach, 1/3 of the way through the college baseball season. As we'll hear the head coach at Auburn, Butch Thompson, talk about, we're 1/10 of the way through the SEC baseball season. Long way to go, but still a lot has been accomplished. And to talk about over the first 5 weeks of college baseball, it's the Talkin Ball podcast, brought to you by our friend David J. Lopez Law. David J. Lopez's law office. We appreciate him. He's out of Corpus Christi, Texas, and loves his college baseball and his Longhorns, and I know you do too. Ty, how we doing, buddy?
Good.
Boy, what a week! What a weekend! Longhorns off to a 2-1 start in the SEC. Have also taken their first 2 losses since our last conversation.
Yep. A
Friday night heartbreaker, and then a kind of an outlier performance so far for this team on Tuesday night, which we'll talk about. But I want to get into that. But let's get into the start. Let's start with SEC, just the big picture of the SEC and where we stand. And then we'll do a little Texas. Then we're going to talk to the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, Butch Thompson, who's been 25 years in the SEC, 10, 11 years at Auburn now. We talked to Butch, you've known him a long time.
Yeah, he's been, you say 25 years in the SEC, you wonder, how does somebody survive 25 years in the SEC? It's only when you're good. Right? Only the good ones do. And, well, not the only, but the good ones find a way. He started out as assistant. It was kind of fun listening to him telling the story about he was going to decide whether he was going to be a high school coach or the pitching coach at at Georgia. And, it was going to pay about the same. And ironically now how that has all changed. These guys are making real money for the first time, and it should have been for a long time. And but they're finally making real money now. And it's fun to hear. He is a truly a badass guy. I mean, when you sit down, what the tone you hear in his conversations is the guy he is, and a fabulous coach. I mean, he really is. He's very detailed in his mind about how he does things and how they want things done.
Yeah, he is, and we'll hear that coming up in a conversation with him, and we'll talk about Auburn. Auburn is 18-2 like the Longhorns. They had a game this week where the Longhorns lost to Tarleton in the midweek. They beat Georgia Tech, top 5 team at Auburn, 9-2. So that's a good-looking ball club. But just your thoughts on the SEC as we sit here 5 weeks in. I mean, there's one series in for folks who didn't keep up with it. Auburn swept their series. Kentucky and Florida all went 3-0 to start SEC play. Texas, Georgia, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt went 3-1. Texas, of course, beat Ole Miss 2 out of 3. Georgia handled Tennessee. OU had that really spirited series with Texas A&M. Arkansas split a doubleheader on a Saturday to get out from that top 5 matchup with Mississippi State. And Vanderbilt beat LSU, the defending national champions. So obviously A&M, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and LSU are 1-2, while Missouri and Alabama are 0-3 so far. But very early, 1/10 of the way through.
Yeah, 1/10 of the way through a gauntlet. And, you feel like you're at the beginning of a gauntlet where somebody might have frogged you in your shoulder, and that's about, how it is. But I would say this. I think we talked about this last week.
Your shoulder.
The one piece that we talked about a little bit beginning last week was, I thought you asked me what series was interesting to you, and it was the A&M OU series, and it did not disappoint.
No. Fireworks.
Fireworks everywhere, but that's okay. You're really competitive people, both sides of the dugout, right? I mean, that's just, the game is like that more than people probably know. But it doesn't get as animated, and now that there's cameras everywhere, it gets delivered everywhere kind of thing. But it went down to the final pitch on Sunday, playing in games in Norman where wind was blowing 50, 60 miles an hour, and they had to figure that game out. And then when you started going through, everybody wanted to talk about what was the Arkansas-Mississippi State series going to end up like. It was a one swing away either way. I think there was a walk-off with Pompey. He had a walk-off home run for Arkansas. And so a typical beginning of what the SEC looks like and feels like. And then every week, we've had this conversation. Every week you go, wow, that's going to be a great series. And then you start reading down the rest of them. You're like, oh, my God, what about this? This one? I mean, it just is unreal. And so
I'll give you a quick example of that. Well, after Texas plays Ole Miss, they get Auburn. You know, you've got Oklahoma and A&M who went slugfest and almost came to blows at points with Skip Johnson and Michael Early. Well, they go to LSU, Oklahoma does. A&M comes home to play Georgia. I mean, it's...
Yeah, get you some of that. Right?
Yeah, come on.
Get you some of that, whatever that song is. But, and I think that tonight, and the Thursday night game with OU playing LSU on Thursday night, and then Ole Miss is playing Thursday night against... Do you know who that is? We have 2 Thursday night games this week.
Yeah, LSU has a Thursday night game with OU.
But I thought Ole Miss did too for some reason. But anyway, either way, it gets started on Thursday right in the middle of March Madness, and which I know I'll be watching the baseball. The March Madness is in my spare time. It'll only be in my spare time.
I won't be disappointed at you for that. I promise.
No, now when Texas plays, I'll watch. But beyond that, if I get to watch the last minute of each game, that's good enough for me because you can get caught up in 1 minute. And but anyway, I thought it was a great start to the season, and I know we want to talk about the Texas series. I know everybody probably already diagnosed the Friday night game and everything that happened and went down. Welcome to college baseball. I mean, look, I made a comment on the broadcast Friday night, and I'm not taking credit for this. I want everybody to understand that, but it is real. When you've been around this industry a long time, like I have been. I made the comment, the 9th inning is a game within the game itself. And it is the beginning of your heart rate changing. It's the beginning of so many things. You don't lay in bed as a baseball player and dream about hitting a grand slam in the 4th inning. You read about it, you dream about it in the 9th inning. So all this buildup in your mind about a walk-off or doing all those things is all based around the 9th inning. Umpires change. Players change, the game changes, however you want to look at it, the heart rate changes, everything changes. And in the 9th inning, it didn't disappoint. That you also made a comment. If you're up 4, your mind never rests because of college baseball, college players, 19-year-old kids, and an aluminum bat, and all the things I just described. And then if you're on the offensive side, you never feel like you give up because all those things I just named also lies on your side too, and being able to close out games or come back and have a walk-off, and they all came to true. And then to me, as disappointing or as heartbreaking as it was if you're a Texas fan to lose, I thought, to me, when they came back and Becerra comes up with a 2-out hit in the bottom of the 9th after having all your momentum taken away, and your fingertips right there to win. For him to come up with a hit like that, and for them to score a run and just to tie the game, I thought showed who they are as well, Texas, offensively and as a team. The competitiveness and it also showed you what college baseball didn't turn out at the end for them. But I thought it exposed a lot of different things and showed a lot of different things. And then we saw the change of it on Sunday by moving Cozart to the back end, and trying to figure out the back end part of it.
Well, and I want to get into that game, and we'll talk more about the SEC coming up. We'll talk to Butch Thompson, the head coach of the Auburn Tigers, and LSU struggles. I think if there's a biggest story in the SEC in the first 5 weeks, it's the struggles of the defending champs, and I want to talk about that with you. We'll preview the weekend series. The other Thursday night series that does start is Kentucky Ole Miss. So Kentucky Ole Miss Thursday, Oklahoma LSU. We're recording this on a Thursday, so that'll be tonight, and then the rest of the weekend. But on Texas, as you just said, you called the games, did a great job with your broadcast partner there on ESPN Plus all last weekend over at Dish Falk Field. Crowds were great, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And the first game, I thought Ruger and the left-hander for Ole Miss had a great battle. A couple of veteran pitchers have been around a long time. It ends up 3-3. Texas takes the lead 4-3 on a home run. Another big solo shot. Ethan Mendoza hit the big 3-run homer to tie it up. So you have a neck-and-neck game, and then in the 9th inning, as you said, became an inning unto itself. Or the 8th into the 9th inning, where Texas played add-on and got to the back end of that, got to that Ole Miss bullpen, and they go to the 9th inning up 7-4. It had been 4-3. 7-3. So they go up 7-3, up 4 runs, and they had been up 4-3. And Thomas Burns, the closer, had come in and gotten the final couple outs of the 8th inning when it was still a 1-run game, Coach. So you're thinking, okay, and then you play add-on. Aiden Robbins kind of lit that rally, and now you're up 7-3, and you're thinking, okay, this is good. Well, Thomas Burns goes back out. And I'm looking at the box score, and it's like, well, that's 7, 8, and 9 coming up to face Thomas Burns. This is going to be good night, good morning, good afternoon, good night. And, this be college baseball. Young guy who just blew away a couple of big outs in a 1-run game is now out there with a 4-run cushion. And the first guy up, 2 strikes, hits him.
Yeah.
Hits him. Then that maybe rattles him a little bit, walks the next guy. Now 8's walked. Well, now Federico comes up. Well, I know that guy was a pest all weekend for Texas. He takes a great at-bat. He draws a walk. And now Jim Schlossnagle was going there to get Thomas Burns, and the tying runs at the plate. Yeah. This is college baseball that you're talking about.
It is college baseball. The free bases got him. You got right down to it on the Texas side of it. I mean, that's no secret. And then I think there was only 1 hit in the inning.
It was the grand slam.
And it was the grand slam. And, I mean, it looked like he was sitting breaker. And going back and watching
for the folks that didn't get to see it, so bases loaded. So now Thomas Burns is out. The pitch count got too high, and we know if you saw Ole Miss all last week, and very left-handed heavy, they went and got Cal Higgins out of the bullpen. He came in and quieted things down. He gave up the first run on a ground ball that got an out. Then he got a pop out.
Yep.
Well, now you're sitting at still 3-run lead, but the bases are still loaded, and this is when Tristan Becerra comes up, the Clemson left-hander who came from Clemson. He's seen a lot of baseball, and this is what you talk about. College baseball players, aluminum bat. He's now the go-ahead run at the plate. So go through what you saw, because Higgins had pitched really good up to that point. Lefty on lefty matchup trying to get Becerra.
It was a left matchup, and I think it was the first or second pitch in the sequence, maybe the first one, and he tried to land a breaker. And for a strike, and it caught the middle of the plate. And I think Becerra was sitting on it. That's just my personal opinion.
Looked like he was.
And his swing timing and his timing of his body looked like that's what he was trying to do, and did. Look, he. There's a picture of in the video of the game where as soon as he hits it, his hand gets to here, and you can see the Ole Miss dugout behind him, and they're already got their hands up, and it was a no-doubter. All that to tell you, it was a no-doubter homer. Yeah, it was really an interesting, video and shot of it, and it was a no-doubter, and it was that's what beginning a grand slam in the ninth is what you dream about, right, as a hitter, and you think about, and it came to fruition for them in Ole Miss, and then they figured out how to hold on to the end.
Yeah, well, that's where Texas is undefeated at this time. They're 16-0. Yep. They're playing this game. This is game number 17, and they just got punched in the jaw. And you got your top end closer on the mound, 7, 8, and 9. This game's over. All of a sudden, you're trailing 8-7. Yeah. Texas did get back up that next inning, and I think it was Aiden Robbins who led it off. But then it was the hit by Becerra, Becerra, through the right side against a guy throwing 100 miles an hour to tie the game to get it up to 8-8. Then it goes to extra frames, and then a couple more hit batters ends up giving Ole Miss the winning run. So you saw them bounce back, then they lose. And then I think all Longhorn fans out there and college baseball fans were thinking, okay, how do they respond the next day? Because now Ole Miss has to feel like they're playing with house money. They just stole a ball game that they were trailing 4 with 2 out, down 3 with 1 out to go, and they just won on the road. So now they're thinking about winning the series. That's where we get to game 2, and your thoughts on Luke Harrison and the performance he gave. The Texas offense gave Luke 2 runs in the first inning, but man, did he go out there and give you a game.
He gave you the opportunity for your offense to feel comfortable to go to work. First of all, the offense wasn't playing behind the whole day. There's a difference when your offense is ahead. When you're ahead or you're even, your offense can create normalcy for them and how they want to do things. And he was so intentional. His body language, his delivery, his mindset was so intentional. If you watched him that day, his misses were minimal around the plate. He didn't have big, misses where it doesn't matter. The hitters don't even look at it. But he also spent the majority of the day ahead in the count, which means that opens options for you to be able to throw what you want to throw, where you want to throw it. And so I thought his intentions were great. His competitiveness was through the roof. When he walked out on the mound in inning number 1, his warm-up pitches, you could see a guy that didn't see anybody else. You could see a guy that was intended at home plate, and that was it. He was not worried about anything else. He was not thinking about anything else. Nothing was a distraction for him. That's what I mean by he was intentional. And if you watched him going in and out of the dugout, people, he was
in the zone, as they say.
Yeah, he was locked in, and it was fun to watch. That's a guy that, even though everybody goes, well, he always has base runners. He's not a power guy. He is not a guy that's not going to have base runners. He is. But what he does is he navigates through that, and he understands how to pitch with guys on, and it doesn't affect him. Some guys, the moment you put a guy on, they go to the stretch or they go to change their timing, they get out of their rhythm. They don't handle that very well from an emotional and a physical perspective. Luke Harrison does.
Yeah, and that was huge. And he went 7 full innings, which saved the bullpen that had been used into the extra inning games the night before. And now, if you're 11-2 was the final, so you could use some middle arms there at the end of the ball game. Really, really resounding comeback, I thought, for Texas. And then this is the luxury that Jim Schlossnagle has last year. Last year he had Dylan Volantis to close the game down. Yep. Now you have him to pitch on Sunday, and that guy climbed the mound and delivered 6 innings, 11 punch-outs. Offense came to go again. Carson Tenney hit one to the moon, for crying out loud. Might still be traveling. Yep. And you get an 8-2 win. Volantis, they come out after 6, and Sam Cozart comes in to close things down. I think people have asked me on the radio show, is that an indication on Thomas Burns? I don't think so. It was 8. You had a comfortable lead. But to me, that's the biggest question coming out. Are there concerns about the confidence in Thomas Burns in the 9th inning, or any Schloss or Max Wiener because that was the big question. He was great up until that 9th inning, and again, Thomas Burns was great in the 8th inning. Yeah. So what do you learn from that? I'm not with him every day to understand. I'll be speculating. If you're asking what do you do in the 9th inning Friday night with a 1-run lead, who do you go to? I don't know that. Obviously, Cozart put up good numbers and got through it. In his first time on that back end side, he'd been their Tuesday starter, rightfully so, and been really good. So I don't know. That's the decision they're going to have to make. They may be matchup oriented as well. If it's 2 of the 3 guys may be left-handed, that may change it a little bit as well. Is there a thought that, this is just me thinking out loud here, that, okay, well, maybe, especially in SEC play with these veteran lineups, we're going to see maybe not go get him in the 8th. Let's get maybe Cozart in the 8th. That gets you to the Burns.
And then you that's a great point. He's off he's got plenty of rest, so he's fine now. I think he threw 3 innings 3 innings I think on that Sunday, so he's good to go Friday if needed or Saturday. But the original question is, Burns will get back in there because his stuff is too good. The guy throws 100. He was 97, 98 in the 8th. And then he hit and then he did. Once he hit him, it got sideways for him. Do I think yes, I think he goes back out there. I think Higgins goes back. He went back out there on Tuesday. There are other guys out there. The winners, when they get him back, it depends on, on his health, when they get him back in there too. And I think that's part of it because he's the one that ended up closing up the game against UC Upstate. And he had to come in with the bases loaded and flip 4 breakers in there and got him out of the jam. So, do I think, if you were asking, I would ask the audience or ask you, who would you go to right now on Friday with a 1-run lead in Auburn to close a game out? If it's 2 righties and a left-handed hitter, who are you going to go to in your mind? If it's 2 righties or if it's right, left, right, because then that becomes how do you do that? That could be 2 or that could be 3 guys at one time.
I would just say early in the year, I want to give Burns another chance. Yeah. Now it happened once, and maybe we don't use you in the 8th inning. We use someone else, and this will leave you for the 9th for now. Or it was just a bad night, and they know what was going on in his mind.
Or maybe he's better. Maybe he likes the 7th and 8th.
Yeah, no, you got to get 27 outs, however you do it, right?
So maybe he's a bridge guy or the multi-purpose guy. And then when you get to that, the 9th, then it's maybe what I would say this is, it's not wipeout stuff, but what they do with Ethan Walker is good because he's the left-handed and he throws from over here. Those left-handed hitters don't see that. That is hard. So if you had to sandwich him in between a right-hander, different things like that.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. I'd give Burns one more chance to be your lockdown Dylan Volantis of last year. If he has another struggle but I'd have Burns in the ninth, but I have somebody up because you may have to mix match. And the one thing I will say that we've seen about Max Weiner's pitching staff, with so many arms that they have pitching versatility. So you can look at a matchup. This guy struggles with a breaker. This guy's, whatever. We got different guys. They got different stuff. They can bring things and try to get, because again, you got to get 27 outs.
Yep.
And on the road at Auburn, and you'll hear it here coming up with Coach Butch Thompson, they're expecting their biggest weekend, their biggest crowds that they've ever had in their program's history.
Wouldn't expect anything less.
Heck, they just had a game this week with Georgia Tech. He said it was, and he'll tell you it's their biggest midweek crowd of the year in the history of the program. Yeah. They've done some expansion, so they have more seats than they've ever had. But let's get into that Texas and Auburn, because we're going to talk to Butch Thompson here in a moment. But Auburn is 18-2.
Yep.
You'll hear Coach Tay. They had their starting rotation of 3 guys hasn't given up more than 1 run earned in a start this year.
Yeah.
They're all 3 with microscopic ERAs. They're young on the positional side, whereas Ole Miss this past weekend was very veteran in their lineup. And gosh, how about the big third baseman for them?
Yeah, well, that guy played at a different. That guy played at a different. That guy was a different level player.
Udemark, right? Udemark. Oh my gosh, he looked like Brooks Robinson at third base, and he's 6'5".
He was Brooks Robinson, and then I didn't know this, and I went down and visited with Mike Bianco in between. Before the Sunday game to say hello to him. I didn't get to see him Friday, Saturday, and he said that he plays center field for him too.
He's
and
6'5".
I was like, what? He goes, yeah. He goes, Ty, he's a 6'6" runner. And I was like, what? And he made playing third base look so easy and so effortless. And his timing inside the white lines as an athlete and as a player is so good. I mean, you watch everybody. You don't have to be a coach to see this, but when you watch sports, any sport, there are people that make it look easy. And his pace and his mindset that does that, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, Jed Udemark, keep an eye on him at Ole Miss. They'll have that series. You can watch him on a Thursday night. Playing this week. Really a good player. Well, Texas goes to Auburn, but Coach Thompson will tell us they're younger in their lineup. They're getting carried by some young guys, sophomores and freshmen, but their pitching staff is really, really good. With that in mind, let's for the second straight week. Last week we talked to Mike Bianco, the head coach at Ole Miss. This week on Talkin Ball, Ty has set up a conversation with the longtime manager and longtime SEC stalwart. He is Butch Thompson. Coach Butch Thompson with us. Auburn is off to an 18-2 start. Had a big win last night over a top 5 Georgia Tech team in their building, and the Longhorns are headed to Auburn this weekend. Coach, we appreciate you being with us here on the Talkin Ball podcast and on 102.7 ESPN. How are you?
I'm tremendous, and Ty is a great friend from way back. So, Ty, it's always great to visit with you, but thanks for having me on, guys.
No question.
Well, we're glad to have you on here, and I'm going to let Erin jump in here, but I got to be honest with you, I enjoyed watching your game, obviously, with Georgia Tech. I was watching my daughter's. I was allegedly watching my daughter's softball game, and in his return, I ended up watching a lot of Auburn baseball last night. So anyway, congratulations on the win.
We call that multitasking, right?
We can call it something. I'm not sure it's the greatest parenting sometimes, but yes, no, I did get to watch her play too.
Well, talk about how do you prepare for a midweek game like that against a team, a quality opponent? I know when you schedule, they're a good opponent, but coming off your first SEC series ahead of Texas this weekend, what's the mindset of your club and your guys' handling of a game like Georgia Tech in the middle of the week?
Yeah, just all the coaches' cliches I'm supposed to say now.
Yeah,
but I think what we've found is just try to be present. Our first home run last night was a guy hitting 115. And if he's dwelling on his batting average, he's thinking about the past. If we think about these Texas Longhorns coming in this weekend, we don't have a chance, and we're looking in the future. And I think the best way our ball club can operate is to just try to be present each and every day, because I think you guys, if you get a glimpse and look down the road and look what we're having to do currently, this is just a tough schedule for us to navigate. And we can't look back, and we definitely can't look ahead. We're not good enough to do that. So staying present would be my best answer in the moment of what we're trying to do as coaches and players here.
Yeah, and coach cliche or not, it's good in all of our lives and however we do things, but certainly in a competitive environment like the SEC and the game last night. 16 strikeouts for your ball club. The pitching staff continues to lead the way for you guys, but the hitting's not bad either. But 18-2, Coach. Talk about that pitching staff that you're going to roll out there with the Longhorns. 3 really, really quality starters, and as we saw last night, a lot of arms that you guys can run at anybody that you face.
Yeah, we're 10% through the SEC schedule, so 90% is still to be played. But I do tell you, week after week, and now 5 weeks into it, eventually, our pitchers are going to think they can really, really pitch at a high level. Missouri, was 11 runs per game, and Georgia Tech, I believe, was 12.7, which leads the country in runs per game. And our guys have just continued to hopefully grab some confidence, fill up the strike zone. We walked a few guys last night, but I got to give Georgia Tech a ton of credit. That's one of the few programs after you play 20 games or so that have more walks and strikeouts, and they evaluated the strike zone greatly. But we had a key injury, we think, at Missouri to our top reliever, and I know everybody goes through that type stuff, so we got to stay locked in and focused. But we have 4 sophomores. Jake Marciano, our game 1 starter, has been great from us with a transfer from Virginia Tech, has been lights out. Jackson Sanders, a sophomore in our program that threw in relief, he's added about 15% of strike percentage, and now he's feeling himself a little bit and throwing the ball good for us. And then a third-year guy that's been hurt each of the first 2 years has, at least to this point, stayed healthy, and he's our captain, Alex Petrovic, our third starter, Sunday starter, has been great. And then Andreas Alvarez, the guy that threw against Georgia Tech last night and had 10 strikeouts, is probably don't like me a whole lot because he's throwing on Tuesday instead of the weekend. But he's as good as anybody in our rotation. So we're blessed from that standpoint. And I think Ty knows I'm been around so much, and this is my 25th year in the SEC. It doesn't always work that smooth. We haven't had to move a guy yet in our rotation, and that allows you to be consistent, build some momentum, and those guys aren't looking around wondering if I don't throw good, I'm not going to get start next week. And they've just been real consistent and really good. And when I think we've won 11 in a row, and our starters haven't given up over 1 earned run in any of their outings, and that'll be challenged with a team like Texas coming in. But that's at least given us a chance. Every day when you can go out and get a good start, you have a great shot in college baseball.
All right, let's stay with that 25th year in the SEC for a second. In year 1, tell us how much it has changed or evolved, however you want to say it, from year 1 for you in the SEC to now the head coach at the University of Auburn. How much has the SEC changed or evolved?
Just thoughts. My first thought is I thought it was amazing and the pinnacle 25 years ago when I got into it. So I didn't know it could get this much better. I've been amazed. Number 2, to laugh, I had to decide, do I want to be a high school coach or do I want to be the pitching coach at Georgia? They were paying about the same, and it was a real tough decision to leave Birmingham or go be a pitching coach in the SEC. What was best for our family because, we're getting paid about the same. So I laugh at that because things have really changed from that standpoint, and how all 16 teams, how they're all so resourced and committed to the sport of baseball. So I think I got lucky in making a good decision. That was a hard one 25 years ago. And then just the bigger, faster, stronger. I never thought the draft would get cut in half. I never thought we would have full scholarships. My mind just couldn't think that it would grow to the rate it has. And now the draft's cut in half, and you have all these amazing freshmen that are coming to school, and more kids are coming to school than ever. You not only have full scholarships now, you have above and beyond that. I never saw that coming because I think every coach was just clamoring to, come on, man, we're 11.7 scholarships. It's got to be more than that. So, of course, there's some good features, some features we don't love so much, but the level of play in this league, it just blows me away. And then you have to throw the fans in there. The people that are coming to the games, it feels like there's a clamoring for more, and more. And I'm like, how can this thing keep growing? And it feels like SEC baseball is just continuing to do that. And it feels like the masses are asking for more, as we said here in year 25. And I love that.
Yeah, and as you said, the freshmen that are getting to campus, and then the veteran hitters that are still in the game, it just leads to such a great product, challenges the pitchers, and leads to great development for the next level too, beyond the SEC, which is dang near the big leagues these days when you get there. Coach, you mentioned the pitching, and it's a very impressive statistics with the 11-game win streak and what you guys have done. But you guys can hit the ball too. You got Brandon McCrane's batting .448, and he's leading your team in runs scored. Chase Fralick is at .360 and leads your club in home runs and RBIs. Bristol Carter's having a great start. What about this hitting lineup that you put out there? I talk about veteran hitters. You guys can manufacture runs, but look like you can hit with some power as well.
Yeah, we're still a young club. Like a team like Texas coming in, we don't match up on paper. You know that, and I know that. We got a sophomore catcher, a freshman at first base, a sophomore second baseman, a freshman at shortstop. We either play, one of two juniors at third base, and we're sophomore in left, junior in center, and true freshman in right field. And like I said, the 4 starters are sophomores. So we got a young club that don't even know what's going on. We haven't had that real test. Nebraska's come back and got us and punched us in the mouth on a game 1. We come back and won the next 2 games in that series. Was a good test, but that's about it. So, I know the test is coming for our team with the young group, and I'm just trying to keep their spirit up and keep them consistent. But, I do like a couple of those guys. Chase Fralick, I think, as it sits right now, is probably the number 1 prospect at the catching position next year. He's a sophomore, but he's a heck of a ball player. My favorite guy in the world is Chris Rembert, our second baseman. He's going to run 21.5 miles per hour every time he puts the ball in play, whether it's over the fence or back to the pitcher. He gets on his horse. The kid consistently plays hard. He's one of our captains. He's a slow start for us. He had his first home run last night, but he's a ball player, and even more than that, he's a winning human being, and everybody tries to keep up with the way he goes about his work and his business. Think the world of him. You mentioned Brandon McCrane, but that's the redshirt freshman that has just absolutely stepped into that shortstop position. We had a transfer, Ryan Farber, who's a Texas State transfer, who's an amazing young man, amazing family, great ball player that's had a foot injury that we shut him down in the fall. Switch hitter. We thought he would be the guy at short, and we're still trying to get him healthy. And this redshirt freshman is just taking the bull by the horns and has played well for us. So Bub Terrell is kind of like our fans love him because he's got that great personality and spirit about him. He's got a great smile, and he's got some big hits for us here recently, especially at Missouri, a 2-0 game. He had a 2-run homer, throwing guys out at home at third. Had 3 hits last night and got our first run, which was important against a great team like Georgia Tech. So I can keep going all the way around the field, but this is a young club that hopefully has gained some confidence through the stretch. But, it's easy to lose. It's hard to win. And, going into this weekend and just looking down the road how hard this is going to be, I'm trying to remind them of that. But it's going to be a little different for them this weekend. I'm just how they match up but hopefully our crowd and hopefully this confidence we've gained, will give us a chance to be competitive in this series.
Coach, last thing. The guys are going to show up this weekend, and it's going to be an exciting weekend, and the crowd's going to be, I can't imagine what it's going to be like in your ballpark and what you guys, I know y'all have renovated a bunch of it over the last couple of years, but can you tell us and tell the people here in Austin, what is that going to seem like and feel like in Auburn this weekend with the Texas Longhorns coming to town and 2 really good SEC teams getting after it this weekend?
I do think there's national attention to your point, and I appreciate it. It's awesome for our program. It's going to be like when we came to Austin for the first time last year. Last night we had the largest crowd ever for a midweek ball game in our program's history. And why I say that's big is because I say that's March, and it's not at the end of the year like hosting a super regional last year. It's March. We moved the game up 2 hours, and we had a 10-mile-per-hour north wind. It was freezing. We had to move the game up because of temperatures, and you get the largest crowd in the history of our program for a midweek game. So I know how sold out we are. I'm getting people hitting me left and right, and I'm the coach, and I'm playing StubHub these 2 days here. So I think it's going to be out of control. We're going to close the street behind the stadium this weekend. I do think it'll be the biggest 3-game series in the history of our program, and I think the whole nation's watching. So that's pretty cool. And I know it takes 2 to tango. It takes a special program like Texas, a storied program like them, to come in and give us an opportunity to create that. But it's supposed to be 80 degrees. We have our alumni weekend. And, for Auburn baseball, this is going to be a pretty big deal and something really neat to experience.
We'll have our eyes on it. As you very well know, Coach, we do appreciate your time. I know how busy you can be and how coaching is, and coming off of a game last night and getting ready for this weekend. And so we do appreciate your time. Absolutely. Always great to visit, Tal. You take care.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you very, very much. And have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you this weekend. All right, there it is, Butch Thompson, 25 years in the SEC and 10 or plus now at Auburn, and that is what it's all about. Talkin Ball, our weekly baseball conversation, is brought to you by the law office of David J. Lopez. David is a personal injury lawyer here in Central Texas, based in Austin, Texas. And he and his team always deliver for the community right here. David has always told me he didn't go to college, didn't go to law school, didn't spend all that money and time to chase ambulances. He wants to help. He wants to help people. He wants to help you in our community. Talk about people who have been hurt by the negligence of another in some type of accident, workplace, on the roadways, whatever it might be. You need an advocate, and David J. Lopez wants to be that. You're going to be working directly with David J. Lopez. He will be your attorney on the case. You won't be pushed off to anybody else because he's the attorney of the small firm. But you get that small firm feel, delivering big results. I know you probably see personal injury lawyers all over the billboards and everywhere. David is the one you want. He's a Longhorn alum and a lifetime Longhorn. Customer care is at his core. You get that same level of legal fight from a larger firm that you'd want, but you get the white glove personal attention from him on your case. Been doing it almost a decade now. Insurance companies are going to have lawyers. You need to know this. If insurance is involved, they're going to have their lawyers, and your interests will not be what they're looking out for. I promise you. Don't go it alone. Get that free consultation. Always a no-win, no-pay policy. If you're not compensated, neither is David. It's the law office of David J. Lopez. Personal injury advocacy at a high level. Legal help the way it should be. 512-400-0601. That's 512-400-0601, or online at davidjlopezlaw.com. That's davidjlopezlaw.com. All right, we appreciate Butch Thompson, good friend of yours, one of the good guys. And as you said, you don't last 25 years in the SEC if you're not good at what you do. That guy's good at what he does. And think about that, the eyes of the college baseball world. Well, a lot of folks are watching college basketball, which is fine, filling out your brackets. Don't miss what's happening at Plainsman Field this weekend, because that's going to be something. It'll be like a super regional field this weekend.
I want to see videos of what that's going to look like. I originally was going to try to go. A friend of mine, Earl Ingram, has a house there too, and we were going to go out there and watch the game, and because I really wanted to see a game there, and it just didn't work out for me to be able to get there. But I would like to see just how much tailgating is going on around a game that Butch is right. The whole nation's going to be watching it. I truly believe it. I wish that it wasn't in the middle of March Madness. It doesn't bother a person like me because I'll watch basketball only when Texas is playing. But I mean, look, I think there's going to be a ton of eyes on this series this weekend just to see both 18 as you two or what. Yeah, I mean, look, and it played good schedules. And Auburn had to win 3 games in the SEC on the road. You can say, well, it was Missouri, but it's still an SEC team on the road.
Yeah, they're number 2 nationally in team ERA at 2.33. Only USC has a better team ERA, and he heard Coach go through his starters. I mean, you've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, much like Texas does. Alex Petrovic, Jake Marciano, Ryan Hetzler. I mean, they can really, really pitch. And the game this week with Georgia Tech with the 14 to 16 strikeouts. They throw swing-miss stuff. And Marciano, 42 strikeouts. He's kind of their Ruger Riojas. But Jackson Sanders, 41 strikeouts on the year. Petrovic's got 30-plus. So, and the Longhorns, the strikeout bug, they had 16 on Friday night against Ole Miss last week, but came back and cut that down. We saw them, and that's where we'll pick up Texas and then the rest of the SEC, Coach, here on Talkin Ball, presented by the law office of David J. Lopez, online at davidjlopezlaw.com. What do you take from the Tuesday game? Because, I mean, Texas now in 20 games, They brought their strong A game or B game every week. Even the loss on Friday night, they were up 4 runs in the 9th inning. So it wasn't like they played poorly. You just had a pitcher that struggled and one bad pitch. The Tarleton game, 6-1 loss, only 2 hits, kind of feeble effort. That was the first time we've seen Texas as a manager a long time. Does spring break, school's out, distraction, Tarleton came to play. What do we put on that? And I wouldn't make too much of it, but you don't want it to become a trend.
I wouldn't put too much on it either. But well, that's not true. If I was coach, I would. And I promise you, Jim's done a lot already in between what happened on Tuesday night and today and what's going to happen on Friday. Meaning, I mean, look, I wasn't there live. I was watching my daughter's softball game and watching it at the same time. Look, you could say that they went passionately or as engaged as they've been, and I thought one of their strengths this year has been that they're engaged. I mean, they meaning in the game, in the moment, in the presence, and all that stuff. But I think you could probably see offensively weren't started out great with Carson Tenney hitting a home run again. And I'll say this about that guy: when he hit the home run on Saturday or Sunday to center field Sunday. That's the swing Texas is waiting on, meaning his getting lined up and being able to hit balls in the middle part of the field. His barrel's been out in front of him some, but and then it led, I think, is to the homer you saw Tuesday. But unfortunately, that was the last of it. Yeah, and
they put pitchers in that are kind of double. If you rank the Texas pitching staff, they were using pitcher 11 and pitcher 12. And pitcher 13.
Goes back to okay now, but the reality is they had to go to. Cozart didn't pitch, and he's been their Tuesday guy, right? So what does Sam Cozart do? What does he go out there and throw? Does he throw 5 or 6 innings, and now it's a 1-0 game or 2-0 or 2-1 game?
Well said.
So there's a difference. What they're having to do now, and the offense is going to score more than that. So let's stay with that for a second. Yes, they're going to score. Did they have a bad night? Yes. Did Tarleton bring in some of the better guys? And then sure, I would have done the same. I've done the same thing. 100%, I would.
We can get a win here, guys.
You want to beat them for the first time. But I think that the pitching side of it is they're still trying to discover the roles, and they're still trying to figure out who those guys are. And if Cozart's going to go through on the weekend, then who's going to take over on the Tuesday piece of it? And I think that's what they'll start to discover over the next couple of weeks.
We've also found out from Texas baseball that Jonah Williams is going to undergo a shoulder operation. He'll be out for the year, but should be back for you football fans for the football season. That's why they had the surgery now. That means a lot of Anthony Pack in the outfield and probably a little bit more with Ashton Larson, the LSU transfer. And Jonah Williams, unfortunately, he's only been on campus for 14 months since he came from Galveston High School. But hamstring injuries, now shoulder. But they hope he's okay. He's such an elite talent. But that happened too. Outside of the 5-1-2, Texas will go to Auburn. We've previewed that. Texas State plays a very important series for them. They went on the road to Louisiana Monroe this past weekend and didn't have a good weekend. They're coming home. And they play the Raging Cajuns, right?
It's a big weekend for Texas State because, as you just mentioned, they lost to Texas on Tuesday. They go to Monroe, which historically can be tough to play, but you're not going to get swept down there. Historically, you're not. It happens. And then they come back and play the Aggies on Tuesday and get beat by A&M. I think 9-6 led.
Yep, 4-0 early.
Yeah, led half that game. So why is it a big? Well, it's a conference series, your second one, and you're playing a really good Louisiana team that I originally started out there. I was like, are they going to be, just okay? But a typical Matt Deggs team, the first 2 weeks are a coin flip, and then all of a sudden they just go and they hit a stride and they get busy and they understand because it's a complex offense. He makes you cover every square foot of that baseball field. And defensively, whether he's drag bunting, it's with 2 outs. I mean, you have to protect every play known offensively. You have to protect against Louisiana or Lafayette. So Texas State's got their work cut out for them. They need to come back and play good this weekend.
No doubt. That's a second conference series, and as you said, Texas and Texas A&M on back-to-back Tuesdays. Both were good games, but both got away. And that leads to the Aggies. They'll play Georgia this weekend. What can we take from their early start? They're 1-2, but no one's panicking.
Yeah, no. Hakopia's back in the lineup. He had a homer or 2, I think, this past weekend.
They can really hit the ball.
He was missing for 2 weeks in there since the Globe Life tournament, and so he's back in there. So they're a good offensive team. They've got power. They've got 4 guys, maybe 5 guys in that lineup that are going to hit double-figure homers, and particularly in that ballpark in College Station. So it'll be fun to see. And in Georgia, I'm anxious to see what they do on the road. They robbed the guy of the home run, the Tennessee guy of the home run who had already spiked his bat.
The bat slam.
Slammed his bat and started, doing all the above, right? And then the guy caught it, and I thought it was really baseball-ish that the whole team ran out to left field. And then they greeted the left fielder out there in his spot where he made instead of doing it at home plate where it's a walk-off, they go out to left field, and I thought it was freaking awesome.
It was the catch-off.
Yeah, that's right.
As a manager, is there anything you have to say to the young guy who made SportsCenter for all the wrong reasons and the bat spiked and when he does the Gronk
I'm probably
thing?
the wrong guy to ask about that. I would have. I'm the wrong guy because that wouldn't have happened. And if it did, yeah. Look, I don't disagree. They can do what they want. I think there are limits to what you can do with a bat flip. I think look, and people can hate, hurt, agree, disagree. I never was a huge fan because I thought it caused tension in that moment should just be a straight up, I've done this before celebration. Now, if it's at the like at the end of the game or something, and it you're so excited and you can do just a little with it, I'm okay with it, but it just.
Well, I mean, if you go to this week, the World Baseball Classic, when Eugenio Suarez hit the double into the gap and he hustled to second base, but what he did at second base, once he got there, realized that he just drove in the game-winning run or potentially, that was awesome. I don't
disagree. It creates conversation. We're having a conversation about it. It creates tension.
And sometimes
you got kicked out.
Yeah, and sometimes you just can't even control the emotion that World Baseball, Venezuela. But yeah, in that case, you can't do anything until you know the ball's out of the ballpark.
First and foremost, you probably should have been running, quite frankly, because if he was able to catch it, then you don't know that for sure that you really got it.
If it bounces off his glove and bounces off the wall,
now,
who knows?
Tenney could have done it with the ball he hit to center field. That thing hit the back of the softball field.
That was unbelievable.
And some of the ones Borba has hit, they're no doubters, but they hit them, they look at them, they flip. You don't see a whole lot of bat flipping going on.
Yeah, Texas is a little different than Tennessee, even with Tony Vitello gone.
Yep.
One other note as we get into it and wrap up episode 5 here of the Talkin Ball podcast. They play ball and baseball. We talk ball here on Talkin Ball. So Kentucky, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, LSU, they will play starting on a Thursday night through Saturday. So then you'll have Vanderbilt and Mississippi State, which Vanderbilt took 2 out of 3 from LSU, which we're going to talk about coming up. Missouri, Tennessee, in that border battle. Florida and Alabama this weekend in Tuscaloosa. Georgia and A&M, Arkansas, South Carolina, and Texas and Auburn. Let me just give you this stat. They've won 2 of the last 3 national championships. We say no one's panicking yet, but through 19 or 20 games, LSU's team ERA is 4.79. They only have a couple of regulars hitting over 275.
Yeah.
Look, Jay Johnson's been here. Any concern? I mean,
no.
Just long season. Let's get this thing turned around.
I think it's a long season. Let's get it turned around. But I will say this. Let me back up and say this. I'm saying that based on their pedigree. I'm saying that based on Jay and their history. But I do believe this. I do think in modern day baseball now in athletics, I think it is hard to if you win a national championship that next year. There's a reason why you won the national title. You had unbelievable players, and a lot of them are going to vacate through the draft and be gone. And so I think sometimes it's hard to replace all those pieces. And then sometimes if you got a lot of new guys, they don't really understand what their expectations of living up to are as well after winning a national title.
The weight of those expectations. We saw at A&M last year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, A&M came in as the preseason one and the best team ever, and that team did not handle, with a first-year head coach, they did not handle the expectations well. Yep. And it can become an issue. I'm sure Jay Johnson's trying to tone it down and be good with it. And you got a home series with Oklahoma now. Yeah. And Skip Johnson's not going to let us put off the gas.
No, they can pitch. They got beat Tuesday 3-0 on the road to Southeast Louisiana as well. So a lot of Tuesday night madness. And I think you're going to see some of that this year. We've already seen it. I think you'll continue to see some of the Tuesday night madness with teams until they get their pitching staff lined out, which is pretty historically, barring injuries, around the 6th week of the season.
All right. Well, we'll be watching it and talking about it here on Talkin Ball. Episode 6 next week. We'll recap all of this. Longhorns at Auburn, series of the weekend. That Oklahoma LSU series, sneaky, interesting early.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of people in the SEC like to see LSU get buried a little bit early in the standings, and Oklahoma can do that to you. And then there's Georgia A&M as one to really watch.
Yeah, those two are obvious, and particularly for Texas fans because of their rivals and teams you've been at. But another one for me is Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, because Vanderbilt, I thought, was really young. They were playing 3 freshmen early in the year in Arlington. I was a little bit surprised that LSU didn't win 2 out of 3 against Vandy. I thought they would. So I'm anxious to see how they play against a really good Mississippi State team. And Mississippi State is good. And, now their third baseman got dinged up, I think, Tuesday night, but he'll be out there on Friday playing. I don't doubt that. So, and then Florida is going to – Alabama's just playing okay right now. They're not playing great. So I'd be curious to see how Florida does, who's, played good last weekend. So obviously, when you start naming down, you'd have to spend all – 5 weekends. Having to go through all of them.
Well, no, that's the thing. So. It's so deep in talent and so much fun. Can't wait to watch them this weekend, talk about them, and hopefully you will too with us here on Talkin Ball. I asked you a little bit about the Texas Tuesday game. In your history playing and coaching, I know what spring break was like for me coming through playing baseball and being around baseball. There's a little lack of – sometimes you can lose focus, right, as a ball player that school's out, your routine's out, and everyone else is out having fun. And is there any – how did you handle that as a manager?
Went on the road.
Went on the road, yeah.
Part of my career, we went on the road on spring break for a Tuesday game. If we could plan it and design it, we would go on the road on Tuesday, play somewhere, spend the night. And then if our weekend series happened to fall on that same week, we were gone all week. So you had your hands on them.
Yeah.
And so now I don't know what look. I'm not going to act.
I'm sure your guys.
I'm not. Like I'm going to plead. It was.
I'm sure your guys saw that schedule and go, "Dang, coach did it again."
Yeah, right. But spring break is. I always thought it was kind of fun because you got to early practice and you got a little bit of push away from it, in the afternoons. But if it happens 2 more times, then everybody can,
worry about it.
I'll be surprised if it does.
Yeah, and for you, I'm sure your guys are like, oh wait, coach, put us on a Tuesday again, a spring break. We're going to wherever the heck. All right, well, I like that answer. Yep. Put them on the road. All right, always great answers. Thank you to Luke for producing it. Thank you to the law office of David J. Lopez. If you need a personal injury advocate and attorney, highly recommend him. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but if it does to you or a loved one, please have David J. Lopez ready to go. It's davidjlopezlaw.com. Coach, we'll talk next week.
We will. I got to ask real quick, are you going to Hay City Store on the way home to watch the March Madness?
I will find my way to Hay City Store probably this evening to watch. This is a Thursday as we record the Longhorns and BYU. I will probably, you can probably find me at the bar at the Ice House watching the game. Hay City Store, another great partner of ours as well in Driftwood, Texas. And yes, thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you. Let's talk ball.